Wise Wednesdays started on April 1st with a humble episode on forgiveness. Between then and now, we've had heart-led conversations on happiness, stress management, relationships, resilience, public speaking, respecting boundaries, self-discovery, mindset, just being, listening, reclaiming your life, intuition, and even food. I would like to thank all my listeners and the guests who gave me their time and trust. It is because of you that we kept going. It is because of you that we kept growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much for joining us this evening. It's a very special episode. I am meeting and speaking with Omar Al Busaidy. He is someone I met close to 5 years ago, and the level of humility he has always left me in awe. I appreciate the humbleness he has, and the open-mindedness with which he speaks. I've heard him speak not just once but a couple of times, and it's always inspirational. So thank you for joining us. Omar is a best-selling author. He has come up with this book called Just Read It. And yes, Omar, I'm sitting with your book because I love it. And without further ado, here he is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruqayya. It's an honor to meet you, and
Thank you.
thank you to your audience as well for joining us in the show.
Lovely. So, Omar, today we are talking about what they don't teach us at school. Now,
Yeah.
trust you to come up with a cheeky topic like that.
I like that. Um, you know, Ruqayya, I'll tell you something. I've always been very inquisitive as a child, and even when I went to school, I was like, why in the world are they teaching me certain things? I was like, what is this going to do with what I want to do in my future, in my life? Like some classes in biology or physics, and not just because I was terrible at math, but I mean, I genuinely asked, like, how is this going to benefit me? Because I had a lot of different interests in my life, and I was always wondering, like, these people who are inventing things, doing things, and whatever, there were so many problems that I felt like could be solved, and the subjects that were taught in school were not necessarily the things that were addressing issues outside. I mean, I felt it was very curated, very like a cookie cutter sort of a thing. Everything was like the same and was like repetitive. And I was like, when you go from like grade 1 or from grade 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, it's like the same thing, and then it's just a different textbook. And I was like, this is ridiculous. What I've learned, like for example, in grade 10 or grade whatever 11, I learned already in grade 6 and 7. It was just a shorter version of that, and it wasn't really adding so much. I was like, oh my god, all these years are going to waste. Why am I not learning about, I was learning about math, but I wasn't learning financial literacy. Two very different things. I'm learning about about the human body, but I'm not learning about the human mind. So there was a huge thing that was, and I was like, and the other thing as well is, believe it or not, Ruqayya, I was a huge introvert in school. Like I know it's hard to believe. I may
No,
seem,
no, not hard to believe. I did that because so was I.
yeah.
I mean, I'm literally, when my friends met me 10 years at a reunion, they looked at me and said, "What happened to you?"
Yeah, I think it's I don't think it's great that now that we're like, I don't know how, I'm not sure how old you are. I'm gonna say you're 21. Okay, I'm like 35. Okay,
46.
so all this time, I was like, why did it take me so long to build this confidence? Like, why didn't they teach me about confidence in school? I didn't learn about networking in school. I didn't learn about the importance of social and emotional intelligence and all of these different things. So that is And also, most importantly, they didn't teach me about being agile, like the agility qualities, the so for and so for me, this is the things that almost like I used to always like ask myself and ask people around me. I used to ask my parents. My parents used to think I'm sick, and sometimes they would tell me, you're watching too much TV. They would always say things like this. So so this is, I think, the title of today's session is like what they don't teach you in school. And the reason I talk about all these things is because, day after day, I come across a lot of different people who are struggling in life. Like they lose their jobs, or they get out of school and they can't find a job, or they lose their job and it's very difficult for them to find another job. Basically, for people, it's becoming very difficult for people to rebound, when actually it should not be difficult, because God has given us a lot of opportunities. He never closes one door without opening another door. So there's a lot of opportunities. But why is it so difficult for people to seize those opportunities? Why only some people can and others cannot? Because, okay, maybe not everybody can be an entrepreneur, but everybody can sustain themselves. But the reason why people can't sustain themselves, even when they have a formal education or whatever, there's something that lacks. And that is what we're not taught in school. We're not taught life skills and how to survive in the world that we live in. It's just like, because when you're in school, you really feel sheltered. Do you remember, Ruqayya, when you're in school, like, you feel like everything's going to sort itself out? Like when you graduate from school, you may or may not go to university depending on the circumstances and everything else. And you feel like, okay, the employers are all waiting to just pick you and grab you, regardless of your nationality or anything else, or your gender or whatever. But then that's not the reality when you graduate. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. Actually, my flow of life was a little different, because up until grade 10, it felt like I am sheltered and taken care of. And then I had to face the Gulf War.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So when I had to face the Gulf War, everything went topsy-turvy, because it was more like a decision that was imposed upon me. To move out of Kuwait, which used to be my home of 14 years, and then go back to India and settle in a place which is supposed to be home, but definitely did not feel like it. I felt very out of place in my own home country, which I should be embarrassed to say, but it's a fact.
100%. I understand.
New culture. My own culture was new to me, and that was a learning in itself.
Yeah.
So yes.
No, I agree, because you can have that identity crisis too, because it's so crazy, because especially when you're born in a place and you live like your childhood in a place like the Gulf, it's very difficult not to call it your actual country. It's very difficult not to call yourself an Emirati or a Kuwaiti. I know what you mean, because it's a very new country. It's very new. These places are very new. Like 50 years old is nothing. Like it's very new. And the thing is, when you grow with these countries, you feel it's like a part of you. Like you have, of course, you definitely have a role and a part to play in the development of the country. So it's very hard not to call it home. With all due respect to India, but maybe it's very hard to call India home because in the end, it's kind of also a lot of things are like the same, and you have the same food is around, and a lot of people who speak the languages around and everything. So like, how could this not be home? So I feel you.
Exactly. And I visited Kuwait 20 years later, after the Gulf War.
Wow.
Marriage, kids, my own journey. And then I revisited for a school reunion. And it was fascinating, because my family over there, my friends over there, drove me around the old neighborhoods and everything. And, they're like, oh, notice the new building, notice this, notice that. And all I was looking for was those old landmarks,
Yeah.
that was so resonating with my childhood and all those memories. So yes, I do get it. So you are you recently, not really recently, but a few months ago is when you've completed your master's. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Living in a new country, in a different place, how does that feel for you?
It's been great. Honestly, It's been easier to adapt living here than I thought it was going to be. I actually used to be very fearful about like living in the States and everything else, but it's been very easy. The people are very warm, very hospitable. As long as you're like kind and you look like you wanna like support people here as well, and you want to support the country and the growth of the country, and you show that you love the country, they will welcome you with open arms. And I think that is the standard anywhere in the world.
Yes,
Regardless of whether you meet people here who, you hear like Republicans or Democrats or whatever, like everybody is very, very cool. Yes, it's one thing that's different is, uh, you need to pay your taxes. So like you learn here to file your taxes, and there's all of those things that is a bit different from back home. But for the most part, adjusting has been very easy. And I think, again, this is again what they don't teach you at school, but I learned it from outside, and I think the best school to graduate is the school of life. And I was able to adapt to this environment quickly because I'm the kind of person that just like now I begin to socialize a lot, and I said earlier in the beginning that I'm very inquisitive, so I ask a lot of questions. So I've been asking a lot of questions from people and here Americans that live in the UAE about what I should expect when I come to live here. So they just kept telling me that the more that you put yourself out there, the more you embrace yourself you embrace the society and the culture, the American culture, the more people will make you feel very welcome, and the process of your transition will be very easy. So, for example, I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories on the weekend, but I was at the NASCAR. They have a NASCAR event. So I went to a NASCAR event. I went to several college football games, NBA games. I'm going to my first NFL in a few weeks. And also, like I started to eat like a lot of the different American dishes. Like they like to have cornbread. They love cornbread here, and they love like pies and this and whatever. So I started to eat the things that they eat. So this is the kind of so you know. And the more that you show that you love their culture, the more things become easy.
Yeah, and I like what you said. That's how it works everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the more open you are about things, the more you get to become a part of the culture there.
100%.
That's
100%.
brilliant. So, so we know that you have had a journey of from loss to leadership.
Yeah.
So, what are some lessons you picked up along the way?
Okay. So for me, to go back to thank you for promoting the book. One of the things that happened, Ruqayya, is when I graduated from high school, my mom was very tough on me. Like she said, I'm not going to let you be lazy and just take like 2, 3 classes in university and then sit your behind at home and that's it. She's like, you're going to just end up wasting money. She's like, I want you to go and get a job. So when I graduated from high school, I was 17 years old. And ever since I graduated from high school, I was working full time. So now I have like 17 years experience. I'm like 35 years old, but I've been working since I was in high school. So it took me actually university, it took me 6.5 years to graduate. I honestly thought I was going to have like grandkids or something. And I thought I was never going to graduate. It seemed so far-fetched, like super whatever. Even some people were like, oh my God, you actually have the patience to go do your master's and like go and study again. You are already doing your undergrad for so long. But, yeah, so I did it anyways because I really like respect my mom and I love her. So I listened to my mom, and I was working from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 p.m. Then I would go to university from 5 to 10 p.m. It was draining. It was killing me. I'm telling you, I had no social life. It was terrible. But that struggle kind of like really taught me to value money. It taught me a lot about the sacrifice that my parents made to try to put us in good schools and everything else, and also it taught me discipline and not to be spoiled. By the way, we never had a maid growing up at home, so it was always us
Your own
doing
time.
everything. You had to do the dishes, you had to iron your clothes, you had to do laundry, everything. It was just
Your
us.
bed.
Oh yeah. So that was also another reason why it was easy to transition to live in the US, to answer your question from before. So one of the things though, my mom's brother, my uncle, he was telling me not to depend on only one source of income. So he told me to try to get into entrepreneurship because he's like, whatever. So I listened to him as well, and I always listen to this advice because for me, if I feel like someone's giving me advice out of love, I will listen to them. I'm not stubborn. Like I'm not a stubborn type. There's some people who are just annoying and stubborn, but if someone tells me something and I know it's good for me, I always say, why not? So I do it. So my uncle advised me to do that, and I started my first company. I had a branding agency, and after 6 months, unfortunately, because I rushed into it. I was super excited. It failed, and I had to ask my mom to pay off the salaries of the employees because the problem is, Ruqayya, I had my ego was a bit too big. I wanted to have a fancy office on Sheikh Zayed Road, So I had an office on Sheikh Zayed Road. It was really fancy and everything else, but after the 5th month, I couldn't pay the salaries of my staff. So I had to ask my mom for money to pay off the thing, and then that's it. Because the problem is when you have advertising and you have an advertising agency, you get work, but your clients don't pay you in full, or they pay you like 10% or 20%. They don't give you the rest, and you're like, okay, how can I survive with 20%? So the money that was left in the bank was not enough. So that's why I had to close down. So it wasn't sustainable. Anyways, that was the first business. And the second one, I tried to have a shop or a women's boutique store called Contessa. So we tried to sell like women's dresses and wedding gowns. And we were in Barsha. At that time, Barsha was super underdeveloped. There was barely any roads. It was all like gravel and stone and sand to get to the stores behind Mall of the Emirates. So it was so difficult to get there. Even Google Maps couldn't send you to the location properly. So I'd have to tell people, oh, you see this restaurant, pass this restaurant and come. So in the beginning, it was okay, but then it was really becoming an inconvenience to customers. But slowly, we started seeing less and less people come to the shop. And also, we were next to a restaurant, so the smell from the restaurant would come into the shop, and this dresses. Imagine you trying a wedding gown and it smells like za'atar or something, or freaking curry or something. It was terrible. So nobody wanted to buy the dresses. So I closed that shop. Also, I have to admit one more thing. Somebody found a cockroach in one of the dresses, so it was terrible. The woman just lost it. So yeah, it didn't work out. It wasn't me. It was
a cockroach. It wasn't you. It was a cockroach. The cockroach didn't know its way around.
Exactly. And then I had another company. After I had a consulting company, and that company shut down because of the financial crisis, like 2011 crisis or something. Then I was like, you know what? That's it. You know what? I wasn't made for this. My mom told me, Omar, just stop. She's like, you have way too many business cards. You could start a museum of your business cards. Just focus on your job, and it was not meant for you. And khalas, just do your thing. So I did listen to her, but then I took a longer time, and I realized, Ruqayya, something. I realized I'm not good at starting a business, and I'm happy to admit it. But I am good at helping businesses grow.
Right.
So I partnered with an events company, and I was able to become their partner and help to expand the business and grow the business, and in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia. So we opened a branch of the company in Saudi Arabia, and we were very successful. We did very well. So sometimes there's many different ways. Like even if you can't be successful in opening a business yourself, you can do it with somebody else who has the experience in something, and you have some value in you where you can benefit somebody else. So this is what I learned about, like, knowing your worth, and knowing your skill sets and where you're strong in. So I did that, and yeah, it was very successful, and that's what keeps me going. And now I'm working on my next book called Why Jobs Are for Robots and Life is for People, and that's mostly because it's around futurism, and I want to. Okay, so the first one is about social and emotional intelligence, but the next book is about your agility and general intelligence and all these different things that are important to combine so that you can grow and become resilient.
Beautiful. And you know what I love about your first book? It's like literally it doesn't mirror. That that's nice.
That's
So
cool, right? Yeah.
yeah, and you know your his book is written in such a way that you can pick any number and it starts afresh. So guys, put in a number, any number from 1 to 132
Mhm.
and 31, and I can read, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So Omar, tell me a number.
45.
All right. And you have the book too, I think.
Yeah, actually, I do have the book
I
here.
noticed you reach out to it.
There you go. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So, yeah. Um, by the way, can I just say quickly something about the book?
Yes,
Oh
please.
my God! Listen, this is something really interesting. Oh, there you go. So Ruqayya, you won't believe it, but um, believe it or not, okay, here. So we have the same page open, right?
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay. So yeah, here it says like speak to fellow entrepreneurs through social media, get advice, and seek help, which is
So we've
really
got
important.
the men who wants page 125.
Yeah, exactly. So Ruqayya, I'll tell you this.
Yes.
When I published the book, somebody saw it on social media. This woman, her name is Ilham, okay? And I've never met her. And she's from Iran. And I think she was in Dubai. She went to Dubai Mall and then she saw the book or she saw me on Instagram and then she went and got the book at Dubai Mall. So then she asked me, she told me, listen, she's like, this book is really good and everything else. And she's like, a lot of people in Iran can benefit from the content of the book. So she told me, like, why don't you translate it to Farsi? I told her, listen, uh, I don't even have the book in Arabic yet, but the book in Arabic is coming out very soon. My publisher told me that the book will be up in Arabic because I wrote the book in English because I think in English and I speak mostly in English and everything. So then she told me, this woman who Ilham was telling me, why is the book not in Farsi? I said, look, I don't speak Farsi and I don't know it, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to do. Like, so I told my publisher definitely cannot translate it to Farsi. So I told her, I'm like, look, if you want, you could do it, and I don't need anything from it. Like, you could keep the revenues. I'm fine. And so I told her, I sent her the book. Okay, yeah, I literally sent her the digital file of the book. I said, here, take it, fly with it. And last week, the book is finally out. It's in Farsi. She used the same design in the book, and she translated the content in Farsi, and the book is out. So it's so cool
Congratulations.
to know that there's somebody now. There's over 100 million Farsi speakers that can read the book in Farsi, and honestly, I had nothing to do with it. I'm being honest. I didn't do anything. She just took the book and translated it and did it. And so for me, I'm not married. I don't have kids, and this is like something that I want to leave behind. I don't have children, so if I don't have kids and whatever, at least I leave something for kids and for future generations to read. So it feels really good to see that you can leave an impact like that on society, and I feel like my job is done with this. So it's good.
Many more languages. This is just the
Yeah,
start. I mean,
yeah,
it's so easy and so bite-sized. Like literally, any one page that you open. I've had sessions. I've had mastermind sessions over your book. Like
oh wow.
literally. Yes, I've held mastermind sessions with my friends. We have a group. We meet on Fridays early in the morning at 7 a.m. when the rest of UAE is sleeping. We wake up early, start early, and by 9 we wrap up. 9:30 we go back to our homes, families who are still asleep. And at one of those sessions, I actually carried the book along, and we passed the book around and we read it.
That's so cool. Thank you. Wow. I feel honored. Thank you
Honestly,
very much.
it was beautiful. So we have Kunan who wants. Could you read a little bit from 125 for him,
Oh,
please?
sorry. Okay. So 125. Sorry.
Yes.
By the way, am I able to see the? I can't, right? Or you
You
can
can,
see
you can.
what?
The setting is comments, private comments, as well as the other ones. So your
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Oh, okay. I was in the private chat. Oh, there are people here. Oh, wow.
yes, there
Yeah.
are.
Oh,
So
so come in,
we've
Shahidi.
got Alina. Thank you for joining us. We've got Vidya. We've got Kunain. And Kunain also adds to say, well said, Omar, it's high time. We need to prepare students for the types of work environment when they get out of school.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
absolutely.
I didn't. Thank you very much, Kanin. God bless you. And so, you know what, Ruqayya, because my book, I got it on Amazon, so the page might be different. So what I'm going to read might be different from what you're seeing, but I'll just read it anyways, since
Sure.
I have the book. Yeah.
Yep.
Um. So in my page, it says here, you need to erase any prejudices. You may have any prejudices that you may have about people that are based on what they wear, what car they drive, where they're from, or what they believe in. As long as they're human, you will need to treat them as you would like to be treated. This is spot on. We talk about this all the time. A lot of the times, there are some people, Ruqayya, I'll tell you, like, because of the fact that I'm from the UAE, there is a perception that people from the UAE or from the Gulf are maybe they have it too easy for them. Like maybe there's a lot. When I tell people that I grew up in a household with no help or a housemaid, it seems very, very unusual and bizarre. Some people think I'm lying, but I'm
Hmm.
like, guys, just because I'm from the UAE doesn't mean every single Emirati or every home in the UAE has a housemaid. My parents just happen to be different. Both my parents are very well educated. They studied in university. They studied civil engineering. So my parents are educated, and they're very different. And they made sure that we had a different kind of upbringing. So when you meet people, like whatever you see, just you have to remove these stereotypical ideas that you may think you may have about them. Even if you see, for example, somebody wearing a hijab or whatever, doesn't mean that the person doesn't speak English, or doesn't mean that that person is narrow-minded or anything like that. So that's very, very important to remove these certain assumptions, because there's a page in the book as well that I say that assumption is the mother of all screw-ups. And if we can, or sometimes they say assume is like you're making an ass of you and me. That's the definition of assume.
Yes.
So for me, I've always been very different, and I always see first the good in people. I tend to see the good in people, and then unless they show me otherwise. So everybody is good unless otherwise.
Unless
There are
other.
some people who have it the other way around. You're bad until otherwise, but I don't look at it like that. I feel that's looking at the glass like half full or
Hmm.
half empty. Sorry, yeah, half empty. So for me, I look at it half full first, and then unless you prove to me otherwise. And I'm not perfect. I have my flaws and everything else, but at least I'm honest about it, and I try to improve. I always say that I'm trying to be a better person every day. So yeah.
Definitely makes a difference. And again, this is something that is not taught in school.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. Self awareness and self actualization, all of those things, sadly, is not taught in school. And I feel like those things are way more important than the stuff in the subject that they teach. Because, even Ruqayya, His Excellency Muhammad Al Gargawi, who's the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, he recently spoke at an event, and he said that gone are the days that you know going to school for 12, 13 years is going to be the norm. Like, that's it. It's not going to. And even going to university for 4 years or 5 years, because today with technology, the amount of stuff that you can learn in a year or two, it's the combination of everything that you can learn in 12, 13 years in school. So it's normal to just say that you graduate from school by the age of like I don't know, 11, 12, because they're very extremely smart. I mean, I look at my nephews who are like 7 and 8. The way they speak and the stuff that they know scares me. I'm like, wow, how do you know all these things already? I could barely put a sentence together at their age. But
I had a guest on my show a few months ago, and I'm sure if the regulars are watching, they would remember him. Adam,
mhm.
Adam Al Rafai, and he is 11 right now. He did a TEDx talk at the age of 7, and his TEDx talk is titled "Don't Underestimate a 7-Year-Old."
Oh, wow, that's so
And
cool.
he is speaking at GITEX IT in coming weeks. He is a motivational speaker. And it's not just that. I mean, he does things that I can't even explain. I'll have to refer to his profile to tell you, but I definitely think you should connect with him. He
That
is
is so
super
cool.
cool.
Wow, thank you for that. No, I'm gonna look it up actually. I'm gonna try to
He's
watch
on
it.
LinkedIn. I
Oh,
found him on LinkedIn, and the cutest thing is his mom manages his account just to keep him safe. And when I connected with them, it was lovely how she screened the process, got to understand me first, because obviously he's still a child at the end of the day. And we did the session at 5 p.m. because 9 he'd be sleepy. And we ran it for 45 minutes because he needed to go play. So, I mean,
I
such
love it.
beautifully balanced person.
That
And
is so cool.
yeah, and when one of the listeners asked him, so who is Adam when he's not doing the stuff that he is, he said, I'm just an everyday guy. I was, in fact, just before the live, I was jumping on the sofa behind me and he showed
Wow.
us the sofa. So yes.
That's so cool. Well, I didn't tell you, Ruqayya, but I was jumping on the sofa too. You just didn't see it.
I'm sure. I think all geniuses are like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
Um,
yes.
I see Kunain has another question.
Yes. Actually, I was going to highlight that. So, Karan has a question. He says, how can school empower children to start their own business or choose the right work with the new UAE law passed where teens above 15 can work? What do you suggest?
One of the things that I think schools can teach children to start their own business is, for example, organize hackathons. So, for those who don't know, hackathons is just basically brainstorming ideas for different businesses, having a panel of judges who can determine if those businesses are, you know, feasible or not. Over like a weekend, just like over 2 days, you can have something like that, or you can even have a one-day hackathon, depending on what you want to do. But if you could do something that's small like that, and then encourage students to come up with ideas and start their own business, that's one way. Or also, I don't think that necessarily you just have to close it to a hackathon. That's just an idea, one of the ways that you could do it. But you can also give every student like I don't know, 100 dirhams, or maybe less than 100 dirhams, and tell them, okay, fine, come up with something or do something, or maybe even start a business with zero cash. How can you start something? How can you start something with no money at all? I'm telling you, you start to teach kids that. I'm telling you, you're gonna see like crazy potential, because all they need to do is create demand, and they need to supply. So if you can create demand and supply, that's all you need for a business. So schools can. So to answer your question, Kunain, I think what schools could do is, I would prefer that it's an actual like session, like a normal class. If you have a class which is usually like 45 minutes or maybe a bit longer, there should be a whole class for this, because it's supposed to be sort of like a trial and error. So let's say they don't succeed or they don't come up with it, but then you have to sort of like try to give them ideas and whatever about how they can do it, and they can learn from their peers, they can learn from their other classmates, and that way everybody can come up with something. So this is one idea about how they can start their business in school, and also to choose the right work with the new UAE law passed. So I love the idea and the concept of job shadowing. Okay, so when I graduated from, I didn't mention this, Ruqayya, when I graduated from school, the first job that I did was I worked in a bank. You know why I worked in the bank? Because luckily in the UAE, for Emiratis back then, from the age of 15, you could work in the summer in the bank.
Yeah.
So not only the bank, you could even work in government
Some
organizations.
jobs.
They have a
Correct.
summer training program for Emiratis as a teenager.
True.
So the difference with this law is now it's open to everybody else. So so what happened is, I worked in National Bank of Dubai. At that time it was called National Bank of Dubai, at the age of 15. And the reason I did it is because my mom didn't want me to sit at home during the summer doing nothing. Like she said, you need to um, you need to make yourself productive. Like I was like, Mom, this is my summer break. Like every kid is playing. Everybody has got like Nintendo and PlayStation, and everybody in the world is playing. Why are you making me work like a machine? I'm like, I'm tired. So he's like, yeah, he's like, you have like it was either like 2 or 3 months break, like summer break. He's like 1 month play, and the other month you have to work. I was like, oh God, okay. So I did, okay. And then I was 15. And then at 16, she told me the same thing. 1 month you work, and then the other month you play. And by the way, Ruqayya, I want to tell you something. My mom, sometimes I think she's a robot, because she used to like okay, let's say I'm graduating. I graduated grade seven, and I'm going to 8, right? So my mom would get the textbooks of grade 8 in the summer and make us study for grade 8. I was like, oh. She's like, because in her mind, she's like, your mind is going to be empty. You're going to forget to study. I said, who's going to forget to study? I'm like, Ma, nobody is doing it. All my friends used to say, yo, bro, man, your mom's weird. Like, your mom's like crazy. Why is she making you do that? Like, I'm like, I don't know, and I would always think everybody else's mom was cooler than my mom, but it's okay.
But look where you are right now.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know at the time, so it was crazy. It was like I was in the military camp. I was like, wow, this is nuts, Anyways, so she used to
She's installed great habits, and I think at the end of the day, it's the habits that make it the man.
That's true. The habits that make it the man. Yeah, you're right. So that's what happened. So sorry, Kunain, sorry I diverted, but just to go back to your question, when I was working in the summer, it was helping me to job shadow. So I knew when I graduated, I said, you know what, the first job I want to do is I want to work in the bank. Yes, I did not end up staying in banking, but it's the first thing that appealed to me. So I think if you allow people to do job shadowing based on this new law, then kids will know what they kind of want to do. They can test out what they want to do. Because when I worked in banking, I said, okay, I know I want to do banking for a while, because I felt like it instilled a lot of discipline. It gave very valuable experience. You're dealing with money and everything else, and then it would help me with my career path, which is perfect. So. Yeah. My younger sister, I'll give you an example. My younger sister now, Nihal, she goes to university and she's doing her bachelor's in economics. The thing is, she's now in her last year and she's not even sure if she wants to continue with a bachelor's in economics. She's like, she doesn't really like it the more she takes classes in economics. And she's like an A student but doesn't like it. So she doesn't even know if she wants to work in it. And I wish she had a chance to probably work in the summer in the field of economics to see whether or not she would do this or not. So then she could at least like tweak her degree into something else,
Which is what my daughter's been able to do. So when she was graduating, she took a double major with PR and journalism, and she tried her hand. She did a few months of internship at Gulf News.
Okay, good.
And then she also did an internship with a PR agency.
Okay.
And she then realized that journalism wasn't something that she was drawn towards, but PR. So when she did her master's, she took PR as her subject.
Okay, nice.
So it works. It helps, definitely.
And also, you're 46.
46. My daughter is turning 25 this year.
MashaAllah. Oh my God.
In a few days.
How old were you married?
Child marriage.
My God, that is insane.
Just kidding. I was 20.
You look like you're 20 now.
No, I don't.
honestly thought I was older than you.
Huh?
I actually thought I was older than you. Like when anybody looks at me.
Now that's too much.
I seriously, like, I look like I'm older than you.
Well, I'm clean shaved. That's why. Bad joke. Well,
okay.
Well, you could call me 21. It gives me the right to crack that joke.
That was a good one. Yeah, clean shave. Okay, I got it.
And my son, I think he was in grade 7 when with the Indian culture, you want to find out what they're up to, a little early. And because the sister had already set the pace and said no, she wants to do media, so he felt a little pressured, or maybe he just wanted to beat her to it. And he said, "Ma, I'm going to study games development," and he's saying this while he's playing a game. So I walk into the room and he said, I'm going to study games development." And he still got his eyes on the screen. I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know that when you're studying games development, you're not playing the game?" He said, "Yeah,
Uh-huh.
man, I'm very sure about that. I'll be backstage and I'll be doing all that." So I said, "As long as we're clear on that." So that buddy of mine, he is doing business management with games development. So
Okay, okay.
another double major. So yes, it's
That's awesome.
nice when kids kind of find their way around and they know what they want to do. It's very reassuring, I think. I'm sure for the parents.
100%. Thank you for that. It's good to know this. It's really interesting, and God bless you and your family. So
God bless you
yeah.
too.
And Ruqayya, I see there's somebody who says
Olina wants page 75. Yes.
okay, look, Ruqayya, you tell me what's page 75 on your book.
Okay, let's do
You
that.
show me so I can be consistent with you because uh, again, apologies to Elena and everybody else. It's just because my book was like reprinted. There's different editions, so it depends on which edition you have, Ruqayya.
All right. Okay, so page 75 reads, there are people who are extremely risk averse and don't even want to think of opening a business. They are comfortable where they are and prefer getting a regular paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah.
However, there are those who have an inner feeling that they would do something different and know that nothing happens without thinking of it first. And if you do start to think about it, you're one step closer to becoming an entrepreneur.
100%. Thank you for reading that out, and that's exactly that. I mean, you know, it's completely look, Ruqayya, it's completely fine, even if people don't want to go off and start their own thing. If you're comfortable at what you are doing and where you are, then you do not necessarily need to change. However, if you want to maybe try to explore your potential, you just never know. Like
Yeah.
you could do wonders. You could be the next person that will bring, you could be the next Elon Musk that revolutionizes space travel or whoever, you know? So, or you revolutionize delivery like Amazon or anything else. So that's the thing. So for me, I think that, uh, uh, either it's something that, if you're ambitious, then you go ahead with, or you're somebody who's maybe not that ambitious. However, it's something that you feel that maybe you can have an impact on this life. And again, it's not just you have an impact on this life because you have a business. That's not what I'm trying to say, because there are people, if you're just a good civil servant, or you work great in a company, and you can still be an entrepreneur in a company. So sometimes some people think, Ruqayya, that you just have to be an entrepreneur and open something on the side outside. Sometimes, a lot of the times, you can look at successful companies where those companies adopted an idea that an employee came up with, and it becomes like a whole division or a whole new product that was started, and that's it. There's an example of I think I can't remember what it was. I think it was I think it was Cheetos. So
Really?
Cheetos, yeah, Cheetos is an idea that's I think it's the spicy one. So
Yeah.
there's a spicy version of Cheetos, right? And the
Yep.
person that became very successful with Cheetos, all he did is he was working in the factory of Cheetos, and I think he put like a spicy sauce or something like that. Like he made the ingredients at home, and he went back to the company and told them, like, hey, listen, you know what, why don't you try this? And when they tried it, like the management tried it, they allowed him to have revenue from the sales of this. So this normal employee, like factory worker, literally in the factory, not even somebody in the office, got to create their own line just because he took the ingredients he wanted to cook, and that was it. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a Cheetos, or it was some brand like that. But
Okay.
that's how it works. So I have a feeling it was Cheetos. Anyways, so this is the opportunity that you can have just by exploring. So the idea with, see, the thing with entrepreneurship is that it is something that what it does within you is it helps you like discover and research, and we as human beings, we were created to become like that, not created to be in a box. We were created to be explorers and adventurers and risk takers, and people that ask questions, and people that solve problems, and critical thinking and everything. So that's what we need to nurture, those qualities that was instilled in us from our creator. And we shouldn't just be complacent. And if we want to advance as a society, then if we look into those characteristics, that is what that's the difference between a normal person, an ordinary person, and an excellent person, I guess. Like, so that's between good to great. That's the difference between good to great, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you've written over here, you've written about if you start to think about it, you're one step closer to becoming an entrepreneur. Now, I'm just and I like playing the devil's advocate. So when a lot of times people are thinking about stuff, and they thinking about it is one step closer, but how important is action?
Yeah, that's why they say, if you think it, ink it. So immediately, like, write it down. Like, just put it down somewhere. Like, type it down, write it down, whatever you fancy. If you have a diary, then write it down. If you're on your notes, a lot of people I know are very active, then yeah. So if you have something, just put it down, because we have our minds today. It's so clogged by so much information from so many different things and sources. So we forget sometimes, like, some of the things that we think, and sometimes we think about awesome ideas, but then we completely let it go. Yep. Because we're immediately focused on something else. So now, one of the things that's important with so many things and so much information that we're fed through so many different platforms, we need to take a breather. And that's why immediately when we think of something, we need to pause on it, stop, put your phone on silent, put everything in, and just see, listen, could this be a potentially great idea or no? And a lot of the time, some people feel like, oh, if this idea already exists, then that's it, I'm not going to work. No, there's several restaurants, there's several Chinese restaurants, Indian restaurants, there's several delivery companies. Like, one day you'll find like a delivery company, and then suddenly there's like several of them. There's so whatever. So it doesn't have to be just one thing of one product or service. It can be multiple. It's how you make it unique and different. So that's the thing. So for me, I feel like the difference between having an idea and having something and doing the action is, you can find the answer in my book, because that's where I wrote about everything. Like, it's literally, because my book, I feel, is like is everything between having an idea and doing something, and that's the reason why I wrote it.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's why I took you there. Kunan has a question. He says, when can we have your second book, Why Jobs Are for Robots?
Well, definitely, I'm looking at finishing it by the first quarter of next year. So watch this space. Inshallah, we'll have another interview with Ruqayya, and maybe I'll do the launch on Ruqayya's platform, and if she allows it, and
I love that.
we will do it then. But for now, it's still in the works. I'm literally gathering information. Just today, actually, I had a Zoom call earlier with the Mohammed bin Rashid Center for Government Innovation. So they want to give me some content which I can add in the book as well. So it's in the works. Literally, it was like the meeting with them was 2 hours ago.
Beautiful. I'm so glad to hear that. So super. Adding to what you said about writing it, ink it. If you think it, ink it. I love that. And the thing is, when you put it out there, sometimes when you keep your thoughts in your head, your judgment of yourself begins to come in the way and speak logic to your ideas.
Thank you, Ruqayya. Thank you for saying that. Exactly. And you know what? Sometimes it's that logic that just destroys everything. Because a lot of entrepreneurs are like dreamers, and they're people who literally do not see any limits to their potential or their idea. They're like, yeah. I mean, Ruqayya, imagine these people like Elon Musk. So one of the things that he did with revolutionizing space travel. So the rockets that he has, which sends like satellites to space, he reuses the same rocket. Like he said, why can't the same rocket that goes up come back down and then fly again, like several times? Because every time that they used to send a rocket, like NASA used to send these rockets, the rockets would just explode, and that's it. That's the way they used to just destroy them, and it was millions of dollars is going to waste. So he's reduced the cost significantly. I mean, NASA just uses Elon Musk. Imagine he came from nowhere, from Tesla cars, to doing something like this. And he failed a couple of times in the beginning with trying to bring the same rocket back, and it exploded. But he was like, I'm not going to give up until it works, because he feels it. He feels the idea that it can work. But everybody else, the scientists in NASA, were using logic. They were like, there's no way this can work. And you're right. They just shut down the idea. But look, now everybody, even the UAE just sent another satellite to space with Falcon X, the rocket from Elon Musk.
Beautiful. Super. So knowing we're coming to the end, we've got just another 10 minutes and you have a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah.
What is that something that you would like to share with the listeners? As in closing, or
sure. In closing,
or if you want to ask me anything.
No, sure. I'll tell you this. In closing, I really like that quote where they say, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your character. And watch your character or your habits, they become your destiny, right? So for me, that is the thing that I love about that quote is it all begins with what goes through your mind and your thoughts and what you think about every single day. So if these things, if you don't focus on, progress and productivity and self-awareness and most importantly, becoming a better person, then you won't be able to benefit the society around you, no matter what you try to do, So, and a lot of the people and a lot of things, it all reflects on energy, like an energy bounces off of you. So if you don't start from within and try to evaluate yourself and reassess yourself and like unlearn and relearn certain things, or a lot of things actually, everything, even religion, I was obviously I'm a Muslim and I learned religion in a certain way, but then I was like, why am I following my religion just like this? It almost didn't even make sense to me. I was like, you know what? I want to learn it in a better way. So I started to, learn religion through reading other books, not even the Quran. Like I started reading like science books and this and whatever. And I read a book written about Islam by a Christian. And I couldn't believe it. Like he made me love the religion even more. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So when it comes to anything, you just unlearn what you know and relearn and continue learning. So if you focus on lifelong learning and your thoughts are always about like self-development and self-improvement, every single thing in the world is gonna come your way. Like you're just gonna be able to manifest positive vibes, positive things to happen to you, and just don't lose hope. So this is always like my lesson to people, because with everything that I've been through, every single time, I'm telling you, Ruqayya, subhanAllah, every time I think of things and I put my energy out there and I kind of like work towards it as well, God just brings it to the table. Like every single thing. And it happens for everyone. And some people might say, oh no, maybe you're like lucky or just it doesn't happen to me or whatever. No, it happens to everyone. It's about timing. So you might not see it now, it'll happen. You will get what you deserve, and if it's good for you, it will come to you. So for me, I always believe in that, and I just trust the process. Have the sight, have the vision, and trust the process, and it will come to you.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about emptying the cup, right? You need to unlearn and then be able to receive something new that comes your way.
100%.
So beautiful. Remember when we met at the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival? You were speaking.
Oh, yeah.
And I had started my series of daily videos at that time, and I got to
Yeah.
interview you. I am at a day 1241 today.
Wow.
Every single day. I'm still doing those. Still doing those. Thank you.
Very, very cool.
Yes. And I see we have another question. So just before you leave,
Yeah.
Kunen says, very inspiring life stories, Omar. What was the turning point or defining moment which helped or motivated you to bounce back? Yes, we wouldn't let you go without that one.
Uh, Look, my defining moment, I think what changed me entirely is when I was 21, I was like bedridden because I had tuberculosis in my spine and I had a massive surgery. So my back, I have titanium plates, and because of that, and when I was, I was in the hospital for months, and it was so painful, and it was the worst, probably the worst experience of my life, I can tell you, because it was really, really like I just thought I could not move anymore. I was paraplegic, so I was half paralyzed, and that uh, being in bed just gave me a whole new perspective about life. It just told me, like, it was a message from God. It's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do, and your job is to help people and work for people, and you're gonna serve people, and that's it. Like, you're just gonna be a servant to society. So I, since then, I've been a servant to society, and I enjoy doing it.
So proud of you
So
for
thank
all the work that you do and all the humility with which you do it,
you.
Omar. I mean,
Thank
really
you.
a gem of a person you are.
Thank you.
And your message about this is the message from God. My message from God was the smile,
Mm, thank you.
and that's what I talk about. That's what I share, and that's
Good.
basically the foundation of all the work that I do. I want to hear from you before you leave. What does a smile mean to you?
See, this is difficult because I'm speaking to the smile expert. So now it's going to be hard. So for me, look, I, I, by the way, I'm not religious, but there's a lot of things in our religion that I just love. So I tend to use examples or phrases from it. So like there was a quote from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he said that الابتسامة في وجه أخيك بركة. So like if you smile at a fellow person,
Companion, yeah.
yeah, a companion, it's a blessing. So, and by the way, I actually saw that quote when I was in Germany at a train station. There was a train station there. There's a quote in the shelter of the train station where people are waiting, and I saw that, and it was written in German, and I saw the Prophet Muhammad like written in English, and I was like, what? So I took a screenshot and I sent it to my German friend. I said, what does it say? And then they translated it. I couldn't believe it in a non-Muslim country that a quote from the Prophet was there at a. So basically, the idea was that because German people, there's a thing there.
Don't
They
smile
don't
much.
smile a lot and stuff. I already talked about not stereotypes, but this is apparently a message there. And yeah, they just encourage people to smile at each other. So it helps to break the ice. I mean, they always say that it's icebreaker, whatever. I think the best icebreaker is just smile. Once you smile, that's it. Makes everything easy. So unless the person is a creep, which I have to point that out. Sometimes you have some creeps, so you gotta be careful.
You have to be careful. And I like 1 second before you go.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Every time I want you to, it's time. I remind myself, and then I say before you go.
No.
So you said unless the person's a creep. So the quote I spoke about today was very fascinating. I spoke about do not all don't take all smiles. 1 second. Just give me a second here. Look at me. I forgot my own quote. But it was something to do with not all smiles are to be taken at face value. Yes, there it is. Yeah,
Really?
not all smiles. Don't take all smiles at face value.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, look, in the end of the day, like I said in the earlier, everyone is good until proven otherwise. So that goes back to that quote. So
Yes, it does.
they say you do your best and then God does the rest. So
Absolutely.
for me, I do my best, and then if it's proven otherwise, you just have to deal with it as it comes.
True that. So thank you for your time. Thank you
Thank you
for
so much
joining
for having me,
us.
Ruqayya.
Loved your vibe, loved your energy, and have
Thank
a
you,
great rest
likewise.
of the day.
Awesome. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and have a good day, the rest of it. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.